is Anarchast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I'm super excited to have on a person I've wanted to have on for quite a while, and it's very hard to get a hold of, and very secretive and all over the place. We got a hold of him just in bed in Tennessee right now, and it's John McAfee. He's, to me, the most interesting man in the world, the real one. He started up McAfee Antivirus software, which he actually started that before the internet, which was amazing to me because I didn't think anyone even cared about viruses before the internet. And actually, I'm going to play the video right now of him telling people to uninstall McAfee antivirus software. I'll just play that and we'll come right back.
Fuck. Send. Oh, hello there. My name is John McAfee. I'm the founder of the McAfee Antivirus software company. Although I've had nothing to do with this company for over 15 years, I still get volumes of mail asking, how do I uninstall this software? I have no idea. I really need to quit. As I said, I've had nothing to do with McAfee software for over 15 years. I've had more pressing things to do. But recent events have made me change my mind. I've had, over the years, many responses from users who are complaining about the difficulty in removing the software. I'd like to read you a few things. Holy fucking shit. I was drawing for like 5 hours straight on this marvelous drawing, and I had to do a big-ass scan that slows the shit out of my computer. It was McAfee, of course. My computer's always really fast, but that son of a bitch has to come fuck it up. Here's another. My free trial for McAfee, or however it's spelled, expired. When it expired, it blocked Pornhub. Fuck McAfee. Fuck them in their stupid faces. I hope they all get dick and cunt rot and die a slow, agonizing death for limiting my porn use to Xhamster. No one should have to use Xhamster. I tried one final time and got the Urban Dictionary definition for McAfee. McAfee, a barely passable virus scanning program that updates at the worst possible times. Tends to render your computer completely useless whenever it starts an update, which it doesn't ask to start, and you cannot cancel or pause. McAfee updates at horrible times, almost like the creators want you to die. So I finally remembered how to uninstall McAfee antivirus software, and I've asked my friend Bartholomew to walk you through the steps. This is my lab tech, Bartholomew. He's going to take you through step by step the process of uninstalling the McAfee antivirus software. Well, say hello, Bartholomew. Yes, so if you need me, I'll be over here, and good luck.
The procedure for removing McAfee antivirus software from your computer is as follows. First, make sure you have a full backup.
Yes, Bartholomew, back it up. Back it up, that's right.
Yeah,
Very
John.
important, back it up.
Sir, should I be reading the instructions for the Mac or PC? They're really quite different. Depending on which edition and version of McAfee's anti-malware software is installed on your computer, you may have to click on Remove, Uninstall, or a similarly named option to begin the uninstall process. When finished, reboot the system. John, are you getting this?
Yes.
You may have to download the McAfee Consumer Product Removal Tool. John?
Huh? Yes.
Does that sound about right?
Well, not completely, you know. I mean, it's always there. It's watching. It's been watching me for years. Every time I turn on the fucking computer, it's there looking at me. You know, something went wrong. 15 years ago, I had some beautiful software and they took it over. I don't know what they did. It was like the time I hired that Bangkok prostitute to do my taxes while I fucked my accountant. It was terrible. The same fucking thing is going on now. But I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. Believe me, I've got a fucking solution right here.
So as you can see, amazing video. One of my favorites. I've probably watched it like 10 or 20 times. He's done so many things. He's been in Belize. He got into some sort of problem there. He had to escape to Guatemala. He had to fake a heart attack to get out of there. He's now back in the U.S. and he says he can't come to Acapulco at the end of this month because the NSA and the DHS won't let him. So he's a very, very interesting guy. So let's get right to it, John. How did you become an anarchist?
I was born an anarchist. I felt, even at an early age, responsible for myself and for the results of my actions, and felt like intrusions into what seemed a natural tendency to freedom were both invasive, unpleasant, and unnecessary.
Absolutely. I totally agree, of course. You're doing so many things. You start up so many companies. You're very active. Your most recent that I know of is Decentral One, which I know a lot of people use. But let's ask you a little bit about some of your past. Let's start with what happened in Guatemala, in Belize.
Well, in Belize, I thought I had retired. I was 64 years old. I felt it was time. Belize has the longest barrier reef in the world. I'm an avid fisherman and scuba diver. I moved there. It was heaven on earth in terms of the geography. Beautiful shoreline, spectacular interior jungles and rivers. It was indeed heaven. I totally ignored the political, cultural, economic situation in Belize, which is one of a virtual dictatorship, in spite of its being called a democracy. Living in Acapulco, you have a small taste of that. Mexico has its fair share of corruption. Nothing like Central America with Belize and Guatemala and El Salvador, where the disruption is constant and the danger is ever present. I lived for the first 3 years on the island of San Pedro, which is an American enclave. It's much like America. You know, the 90% of the population is American, and so I thought, gosh, this is great. Belize is wonderful. After I'd been there for 3 years, I bought a place in the jungle on a river and built a compound, a beautiful compound, to study the plants along the river. I still had to do something with my life from an economic and business perspective, just to keep my mind active. I'd been there for a year, and a representative of the government came by and said, why don't you donate $2 million to the party in power, for our next election? You know, in return, we'll give you hundreds of thousands of acres of land along the river. We'll give you tax breaks. We'll give you God knows what, women, who knows? And I said, well, really, I'm too old to use any of those things, but thank you. A week later, 42 armed soldiers stormed my property, shot my dog in front of my eyes, kept me handcuffed, kneeling in the sun for 14 hours with my hands behind my back, and destroyed $500,000 worth of property, including my laboratory. And then they left. The following day, that same representative returned and said, oh my God, I am so sorry. What a terrible mistake. Oh my, it was horrible. What a terrible, terrible mistake. We are so sorry. Have you reconsidered your donation? I said, get the fuck off my property. And instead went to the international press to press a case of absolute corruption and abuse of an innocent person. Being a hacker, I could not help myself. I hacked into virtually every major government computer from all of the ministries, looking for proof that they had set me up, that this entire thing was planned so that they could extort the $2 million from me. Instead, what I found was fairly horrific information. The Prime Minister involved in extrajudicial murders, the Minister of National Defense involved in human trafficking, everyone else involved in either drugs or money laundering. It was shocking, to say the least. After 17,000 hours of recordings and things, the government found out what had happened, that I had this information. A few days later, my neighbor was murdered on the island of San Pedro. The police came looking to me to question me. Never was charged, never wanted to be charged, it's just a question. In Belize, you can be held indefinitely for questioning. I mean, I could have spent my life in prison just being questioned. Well, I knew what would happen, and you live in Acapulco, you probably have a sense of what might happen. I would have hung myself in jail on the third night out of desperation, or been beaten to death by one of my inmates or something. I was not about to be questioned, and so instead I chose not to be. I spent a month and a half in hiding in Belize, running from the soldiers, from the police. The entire army, the entire police force of the entire country had my pictures in their pockets, and their prime directive was to arrest me. I did escape, got into Guatemala illegally because I did not have an exit stamp from Belize. I managed to make it to Guatemala City, was about to do a major press conference when I was arrested for entering the country illegally and put in jail. They were intending to deport me the following morning at 8 o'clock back to Belize. I hired Telesforo Guerra, who was the past, what's the appropriate word? He was the head of justice for the country of Guatemala and a lawyer. And he managed to keep me long enough to file an appeal, which meant that it would be 15 years before they could deport me back to Belize. Well, it was not in Guatemala's interest to keep me in prison for that many years for simply entering the country illegally without an exit stamp from another country. So I was eventually deported to the States, which is what I wanted, and I've been here ever since.
Wow, crazy story. Yeah, Belize, I've been there many times. I've been to San Pedro many times. I don't like that place very much for those reasons. I can kind of see all the very, very heavy corruption. Here in Mexico, there is corruption, of course, but it's a lot friendlier. It's a lot nicer. Here it's more like if you do have a problem, you just pay somebody and it just sort of goes away. Or if you go to Acapulco jail, it's actually very nice. And if you have money, you can have suites and flat screen TVs or whatever you want. And you can leave whenever you want if you have money. I know many people have done that who are involved in some problems. And no, it's a very, very interesting story. It's incredible.
And you also have a judicial system which functions. In Belize, you do not. The judicial system reports to the prime minister, for heaven's sake. So basically, it's a dictatorship. The judicial system does what the prime minister wants. So in Guatemala, also, there's a judicial system. Thank God, that's what saved me. In fact, the Telesforo Guerra came to my cell at 11 o'clock in the morning, the day I was supposed to be deported. He said, I have a temporary stay until noon. I cannot file an appeal until 3 o'clock. From noon until 3, they can deport you. He said, do you understand what I am saying? I go, yes, I understand fully. I have this. Don't worry about it. I chose to fake a heart attack. I fell on my face, busted my nose, blood everywhere. Oh, they took me to the hospital. The soldiers showed up at the hospital to collect me, to take me back to Belize. But the doctors refused because that is their right in Guatemala. If someone is under a threatening illness, a life-threatening illness, the doctors can say, no, you can't have him. And then you have to go to court to get the dude. So that would have taken too long. At 3 o'clock, when I knew the appeal had been filed, I said, I feel better. I want to go back to prison to my cell, thank you. And that's what they did.
Wow. I know, I think someone's working on an autobiography with you. I heard somewhere, and I can see why. That's just one just crazy story of things you've been involved in. Very interesting. So, yeah, that's amazing. So are you involved with Decentral now? Like, what have you been up to lately?
Well, Decentral is part of a holding company called Future Tense. And Future Tense is involved in one thing. That is the protection of our privacy and our personal security. Not globally. I do not believe in governmental security. I don't believe the government can secure me. When I buy a new home, I don't call the Department of the Interior and say, hey, there are no locks on my doors, come and install my locks. No, that's my responsibility. It's my responsibility to secure myself. To think that a government, an agency, or even the police can secure you is absurd. If someone breaks into my home and is presently in my bedroom with a gun pointed at me, I cannot expect the police to materialize instantly in front of me to take care of me. It's not going to happen. It's an absurd concept. I must defend myself. I must plan for my own security. I must create my own privacy, especially in this world. And so all of our products do that. Decentral One is an awareness product. You run it, and it tells you all of the idiocies that you have already done to yourself. Loading applications like flashlight applications, whose job is to turn on the flash on your camera to use as a flashlight. That's all. And yet, why do they ask for permissions to read your emails, your contact lists, your SMS messages, to take pictures of you, and to record your voice? Something is wrong here. And so Decentral One will scan all of the programs and say, look, these are all the permissions you have granted. Now, some applications, the Bank of America, for example, has an online banking app which you must give permission to turn on the microphone and the camera when you use it. Now, I called the Bank of America to find out what the heck. They said, if someone is going to empty their bank account online and then call in and say, someone hacked my account, it wasn't me, you owe me that money, we can say, well, it looks like you, and it certainly sounds like you when you're laughing to your friends about how you've just pulled something off on the bank. So that makes some sense. But what is the Bank of America? It's an employee. An employee who represents the bank can look at me anytime they want, can listen to me anytime they want. Other applications have no need to ask for those permissions. Now, if you have a daughter or if any of your listeners have daughters or your watchers, many of them have young daughters. There are waterproof phones available now that all kids use, where in the shower she's going to be texting her friends. There are probably 50 applications on that phone that have the ability to turn on the camera anytime they choose. Now, doesn't that frighten you? Doesn't that alarm you? It sure scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I'm definitely not happy about it.
Well, no, anybody could be watching someone's daughter at 14 years old take a shower. Christ almighty, something's wrong with this world. So we have to take it into our own hands. We have to take care of our own security, our own privacy, and without privacy, by the way, we cannot have civilization. Think about it. If everyone knew everything that you did and thought, you would be judged to the point of ostracism. We all would. That's why we have privacy. That's why privacy is selective. I get to choose who I tell what to. If I first meet you, I'm not going to tell you my deep, dark secrets. After a couple of years of friendship and apparent honesty, I might go, you know what I did when I was 16? You're not going to believe it. We choose these things. That's our right. That's why culture works. We're losing that. So all of the applications that Future Tense creates are applications to allow us to take our security and our privacy into our own hands. The one that was just screwing up our communication earlier was a thing called d-vasive Pro. What it does is allows you to lock down the camera, the microphone, the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, everything, so that nothing can watch you without your permission. And unfortunately, Skype wanted those permissions. That's why you couldn't see me or hear me. So I had to go in and actually turn off those functions so that we could communicate. So this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to, number one, alert the world to the danger that exists, the insanity going around us, and that there are ways that you can take matters into your hands, but that you cannot possibly rely on a government agency or a collective or even a neighbor to take care of you. It is our responsibility. It is our job. And if we can't do it, nobody can. Yeah. In order for someone to even attempt to take over our security, we must give up our freedoms. I'm not willing to do that, are you?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, it's, well, one of the worst aggressors in terms of privacy is the government itself, right? The NSA. And so I'm sure you have some insights on the NSA.
Well, absolutely. Well, it's not just the NSA. The NSA has been outed by Edward Snowden. Okay, so we know that one.
Were you involved with that Edward Snowden at all?
There's the CIA. There's the Secret Service. There are all the covert agencies within the Defense Department, which are minion. The FBI, local police departments now have surveillance gear, a little radar that can look through your house and see you wherever you are in your house with your windows closed and barred. Now, that's scary too. There's software put out by Harris Corporation that can intercept your phone calls and plant software on your device to listen to everything that you say and watch everything that you do. That's frightening to me. That should not be. We should not allow this. In a democracy which we supposedly live within, aren't we in charge of the government? Aren't we the people, the ones who decide? Apparently not. Apparently not, because no one would decide that. No one would allow that. I mean, if you would, then you are not thinking, or there is something wrong and you need help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very interesting stuff. I'm glad you're doing this, and it's good to make people more aware of this. And yeah, you brought up the point that we had trouble getting this interview going because of all your software that was blocking some things. Yeah, incredible stuff. You also teach yoga, and you've written yoga books. Actually, before I ask that question, you just brought up Edward Snowden. Did you have anything to do with him, involved with what happened with him?
I had nothing to do with what happened.
I read somewhere that you did. Okay, so let's get into the yoga. So
no, I mean, I definitely do not disapprove of his actions.
No, me either.
I mean, you know, people ask me, is he a hero or is he a villain? Oh, what a stupid question. The question should be, did he give us information, which we needed to know? Well, hell yes. There is no question. I mean, that's the only question we should ask.
Oh, absolutely. I consider him to be a hero. If what he is true, you never know with all these things. You never know what's a covert psyop and all these sort of things. But it was very interesting to me to see him defect from the U.S. and go to Russia. Who would have imagined that 20, 30 years ago? That's how much the world's changing.
Right. Well, I think he made a mistake. If he had asked my advice, I'm 69 years old and I've traveled the world. He was in Hong Kong before he went to Russia. I mean, my God, I would have just, gotten some Chinese clothes and faded into the back street somewhere and, found some Chinese girl to teach me Chinese and started a restaurant or something. My God, he could have had a great life there. I can't imagine what nightmare he's living through in Russia, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, I don't know. And also, if he would have asked me, I would have told him to get a second passport before he did all of this. And that's something that we do I do TDV passports. We help people get passports so that they can, he had problems. That was his biggest problem, was he only had the U.S. passport and they turned it off.
I have a number. I was born in England. And because I was born in England, I have British citizenship. My father was an American because of that, and I came over when I was 2 years old. I have American citizenship. I lived in Ecuador. I have Ecuadorian citizenship. If you can help me get any other, that would be fine too, because I think that's a very powerful tool that people need these days. You never know when America might turn south. I mean, seriously, it is looking like it already. When Homeland Security was created, and it was created because we allowed it. It was created because we were afraid, and we wanted someone else to take control of our lives to remove our fear. Well, what madness is that? And when we're afraid and the government comes in and says, hey, don't worry, I got you. I'm going to take care of you. All you got to do is give up a few freedoms. Let us take control of your lives and you will be secure. There is no such thing. Life can't be made secure. I mean, we do not get out of this alive. None of us. So what possible security can there be? It's an insane concept.
Yeah, Mark Dice just did a video on YouTube just today, and he was in somewhere in Southern California, and he was asking people on the street, sort of man-on-the-street interviews. He said, have you heard that Barack Obama wants to get rid of the Bill of Rights because of these terrorist threats, because of ISIS? And almost every single person said, oh, great, that sounds good. It's amazing. The people, I think it was Isaac Newton who said that anyone who gives up their freedom for security deserves neither and will have neither. I butchered the quote, but I think that's what he said.
That is absolutely the fact. And terrorism, here's the other thing. We expect terrorism to disappear through force. Well, what absurdity is that? Why is there terror? What we call terrorism? Terrorism is nothing more than dissatisfied people, dissatisfied to the point that they are willing to sacrifice their lives. Now, when Buddhist monks did it in Vietnam, we praise them. They sat down in the street and set fire to themselves. We were aghast, but we go, wow, is that some sort of dedication to an ideal? Is that a sense of dissatisfaction with the world? That happens because of oppression. America, we went around with the biggest stick in the world, and we hit people in the head with it going, do it our way or just don't fucking do it. Well, of course we're going to get terrorism. That will never end by bringing down the hammer on terrorism. What we need are people capable of communicating, of sitting down and listening. Dude, what is your issue? And realize that if we are to live in this world, we have to accept things that we don't like, providing they don't interfere with my life. We let what might be influence what is. Because I have a gun, I might shoot somebody. Therefore, don't give him a gun. If we have this, we might do something with it. Therefore, don't give it to us. That sense of reason is non-reason. It is non-life supporting. And it is ultimately insane. We cannot do that. We cannot let the fear of the future affect what's happening now, because there will be no future. What's happening now will be what there is forever. And that's not life. It's not life supporting. It doesn't follow any path of evolution. It doesn't follow anything that is natural and harmonious. It is the disharmonious of all things.
Yeah, you bring up harmony and things like that. Does that have anything to do with what you've been doing in yoga? Because I just got into yoga and meditation in the last few months, and it's really it's been a great thing in my life. Is that something that it's brought to you as well?
I've been doing yoga and meditation for 35 years. Given the life that I lead, and I admit I lead life on the edge. I admit that. And sometimes, if you live on the edge, you fall off. It cannot be helped. And I fall off frequently. I regret doing that, and I hope I don't fall on someone when that happens. But because of that, I live, my wife can tell you, an extraordinarily stressful existence. The Belizean government has paid millions of dollars to remove me from the face of this earth so that I cannot possibly release the information that I have, which would bring down the government. Now, I have no need to bring down the government or no desire to bring down the government. I am not God. I don't know what's right or what's wrong for the world, for the government, for other people.
I think you should
However,
release it.
The fact that I have it is a great risk. And on the 12th of September, 2013, 2 fake police officers on police motorcycles and police uniforms and a black sedan full of very ugly-looking men and a garbage truck pulled up outside our apartment condo in Portland, Oregon at 2:15 in the morning. My wife and I ran down the stairs, hid under a car while they searched the place for us. And since then, I have been on the run, and I'm still on the run. Now, I have to do something. Meditation helps. I haven't done much yoga recently because I just don't. The meditation helps, even just the history of meditation. A little bit will always help. So I believe in yoga. Yoga will do 2 things for you. It will extend your life, I firmly believe that. And will also give you a clear perspective of yourself, of the foolishness that we believe about ourselves and the world around us. It will show us that ultimately, and I'm not being cynical here by any stretch of the imagination, ultimately we are alone. We are alone in every respect. And yet we live with a community of billions of people to which we are intimately connected. Now, that sounds like a contradiction, and yet it is not. It is not. Being alone is not the equivalent of loneliness. Not at all. Being alone means that we, and only we, have responsibility for ourselves. The things we do, the things we think, the things that we feel. And that sense of being alone, rather than being loneliness, is love and compassion. Because you see that everyone else around you is in the same boat, wanting connection. And as long as we have that connection without the need for that person to save us, to be the hero, because there are no heroes. It's not me, not you, not anyone. Without that need to be the hero, that is true communion, and that is true love, in the purest sense of the word love.
Wow, very very interesting insights. And I know you're very busy. You were saying your wife's there in bed with you, and you need to attend to her.
Yeah, and she's going to stab me in the heart soon if I don't attend.
But I really appreciate it. Really amazing stuff. I didn't know all this stuff about Belize. I hope you keep safe and you take the proper precautions to make sure you stay safe with what's going on with that.
Well, thank you very much. And I am very happy, by the way, to have met you. I like something about your face, something about your style. Something about the fact you're living in Acapulco, because I envy you. Something about that. I like you. I would like to have further conversations with you at some point in time over whatever topic.
I'd love to as well.
Because I have enjoyed this tremendously.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Really amazing guy. Check out all the stuff he's doing, all the stuff we talked about, decentral and all. What's it called? Decentral.
Actually, the program everybody needs is d-vasive Pro.
Okay.
It's $4.99. You can get it on Google Play. And honestly, I don't know how you can live without it, because it will lock down those things that spy on you. That's it. Your Wi-Fi, your camera, your microphone, your Bluetooth. These are how we are being observed and monitored. Get that program. And if you don't want to spend the $4.99, we have a free version, which will at least alert you every time an application tries to watch you or record you. We'll say, hey, your Bible application is recording what you're saying right now. Do you want it to do that? So, and that's
great.
free.
We'll have the links to that all down below. Yeah, we'll have the links to that all down below, and I hope people check it out. It's unfortunate John can't make it down to Acapulco, but it's February 27th to March 1st, right here on the beach behind me. Going to be a lot of people, a lot like John, very interesting people who've lived interesting lives and have very interesting insights, and are trying to help other people in many different ways. So once again, thank you so much, John McAfee, and this has been Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
This is Anarchast.